Welcome to this edition of Inside the Cubs on mycubs.com. I'm Brian Bedo. I had the chance to talk with Cubs highly ranked prospect Ryan Flaherty on his transition from Double to Triple A, what it meant to be drafted by the Cubs, and his connection to some Chicago Bears players. Here's my conversation with Ryan Flaherty. Ryan, thanks for joining me. I appreciate the time. You're having quite the year so far this season. How's the ride been so far through the first 80, 90 games?
It's been great. I really enjoyed my time in Double A when I was there, playing for Brian Harper and Mariano Duncan, and the core group of guys was good. And I think as a team and personally, I was happy with the way things went, and I'm excited to come up here and continue playing the season and finish strong.
Historically, your second halves have been better than your first halves, but this year you got off to a great start, and you've been able to sustain it all the way through mid-July. Did you do anything differently heading into training camp or spring training this year than you did in years past?
A little bit. I went to a place in Tampa and worked out down there with a bunch of guys with my agency. So just trying to get off to the best start I could, because in years past, my first two professional seasons, I got off to a slower start. So I really wanted to come out into spring training and play well in spring training and try to take that right into the season. And I was able to do that this year. And I was happy with it, yeah.
Is it difficult at times, I always ask this to all the Cubs prospects I talk to, when you're that close to the major leagues and you just made this leap, like you mentioned, from Double A to Triple A, you're one step away from the big leagues. Is it difficult to not think about the next step when you're so close?
No, it's there. I think everyone realizes it's there. I think you try to just block it out as much as you can, and realize that, I have a job to do here, and the rest will take care of itself. But I can only control what I can control, and that's just making sure I come to the park every day ready to play and try to help this team win.
I'm sure you've heard some scouts and the talent evaluators. They love your bat, but they're always not quite sure what position you're going to play. I know you played a lot of shortstop at Vanderbilt. You played a lot of third base and second base now in the system. I know you've tried your hand at outfield as well. What position are you most comfortable in on the infield or in the outfield?
I'd really like to say that, I've come to a point where I'm actually starting to feel comfortable at pretty much every position. Coming out of college, I'd only played shortstop, so the transition playing third and second was new to me and learning those positions. But I feel like I'm at a point now where, I feel as comfortable at third or at second as I do at shortstop, or to be honest with you, even the outfield, the corner outfield.
Well, I got to know you when you were in Class A Peoria in 2009, and I talk about that team so often because the amount of talent on that club. We've already seen 4 guys in the last couple of months made their major league debut from that 2009 team. Has it been cool for you to see some of those guys break through and get to the majors and know that there's many more to come from that '09 club?
Oh, it really has. It was a great time. A great time I had there in Peoria. I had some great players in that team. And it's actually fun to kind of go through the system with them, guys like DJ and Brett. And just go all the way up through the system with them. I've become close friends with them on and off the field. And to see those guys doing well is fun. It's been a fun time.
Is that an underrated aspect, to go through the system with certain guys and develop chemistry with guys and break through at each level with certain players like the guys you mentioned, Brett and DJ? So when you do get to the majors, you can feed off each other, you know how each other plays, and really everything kind of clicks together?
Oh, yeah. It absolutely makes the transition easier, having guys on each team you played with before and kind of click with those guys. It definitely helps, and then, I'm playing with Brett in the Double A level, the Triple A level, and the same with DJ. It's just made everything easier, and, it's helped the team, too.
We talked about Vanderbilt, and you played with some pretty darn good players as a Commodore. David Price was the #1 overall pick. You played with Pedro Alvarez. He was a top 5 guy. Can you talk about some of those guys? Even David Macias, who's in the system, you've played with him. He was also at Vanderbilt with you. Do you still keep in touch with some of those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk all the time, all of us, and actually we spend a little bit of time back there in the off season, which is nice, seeing David. And I actually lived in the off season with Pedro. So spending time with those guys is always good. Those are the guys I'm really close with. I spent my college years together with them, and obviously, David Macias, I've kind of gone right up the ladder with him too, and now he's in Double-A. So I've played with him all the way through my freshman year in college. So it's fun, being able to play with David all the way through, and just seeing those other guys I played with at Vanderbilt, doing well. It's just good.
Well, if and when you do make it to Chicago, I have a feeling you're going to be checking out some Bears games as well, because there's a quartet of Vanderbilt Commodores on the Bears. Jay Cutler, I believe, was like a senior when you were a freshman, but you had a chance to kind of go through college with guys like Earl Bennett and DJ Moore and Chris Williams. Do you still maintain a relationship with those guys? Do you have a chance to talk with them at all?
Yeah, I spent a little time with Cutler in the offseason. He would go back to Vanderbilt, so I got to know him a little bit there. And Earl was in my grade when I was in college there, so I was really close with him. And DJ Moore's a little bit younger, but I knew him a little bit from face. But yeah, it's just, it's funny to see all those guys in Chicago. But they're all playing good, and hopefully, I've kind of become a Bears fan just through the Vanderbilt connection. They got all those guys up there, Chris Williams and all them. So it's fun to watch the Bears now, and I'd like to check out a game this fall.
Get back to Des Moines real fast. What's been the biggest adjustment? I know it's been a short time in AAA for you, but what has been the biggest difference between AA and the Southern League and the Pacific Coast League with Iowa?
Yeah, I think baseball-wise, I've seen it fairly similar. The pitching, I think, is fairly similar. I mean, it's still 90 feet to first base, and the mound's still, the same distance away. So from that aspect, I think it's pretty similar. You get a lot of older guys, a lot more mature guys. So that might be a little bit different. Guys go about their business their own way. Maybe a little bit different than Double-A. But for the most part, baseball-wise, baseball is baseball, no matter what level you're at.
Ryan, one more thing, and then I'll let you go. And I ask this to all high-round picks selected by the Cubs. Obviously, on draft day, go back to 2008. You're really excited. You don't know where you're going to go. You're just hoping it's as high as can be. Does it make it more special when a team like the Cubs, with all the history and tradition, drafts you?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. To get drafted by a team like that, with a lot of tradition and the whole Wrigley, it's a great. Growing up, I grew up near Boston, and I grew up rooting for the Red Sox from where I was born, and I kind of look at it like the Cubs are pretty much the National League Red Sox. And with all rich tradition and stuff like that. So, there could be more a guy could ask for to be drafted by a team like that, and an opportunity like that to play in a city like that.
Ryan, thanks so much for the time. Good luck the rest of the season. We look forward to seeing you play up at Wrigley this year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Inside the Cubs. Be sure to check out mycubs.com each and every day for all your Cubs needs.